Hi, this is Tina again. I'm going to read the last in my series of Perilla and Josh stories that I have written here. And this one is called The Mystery in the Butterfly Garden. Out behind the white farmhouse was the butterfly garden. Aunt Carrie had planted this garden especially to attract all kinds of butterflies and to give them a place to lay their eggs. It was behind the farmhouse so that Aunt Carrie and Uncle William could see it from the big kitchen window. There were many flowers of different types and lots of butterflies flying around. Perilla and her brother Josh were in the garden trying to count as many butterflies as they could. 1, 2, 3, 4. They counted up to 10 and then lost count because there were so many and because the butterflies kept flitting around. "We will never be able to count all these butterflies," said Josh. "They're moving too fast." But Josh kept counting. 1, 2, 3. "If they would just sit still for 1 minute," huffed Perilla, "we would be able to count them." She took to counting them again, knowing that soon she would just give up again. Perilla and Josh's Aunt Carrie stopped her work in the vegetable garden and walked over to the butterfly garden to see what the children were doing. "There surely were lots of butterflies out there," she said. Aunt Carrie watched as Perilla and Josh tried to count the butterflies on the buddleia bushes. "Instead of trying to count how many there are, why don't you try to see which ones are alike and which ones are different? Tell you what, I will go in the house and get the butterfly book. Then we can find the names of each kind." Aunt Carrie headed towards the big white farmhouse with her garden trunk full of vegetables that would become tonight's supper. "Look, Perilla," said Josh. "This butterfly has landed on my arm." The butterfly was yellow with black edging all along the wings. "What does it feel like on your arm?" asked Perilla. "It doesn't weigh anything," said Josh. "The only thing I can feel is just a little prickle where its feet are sitting on my arm." "Oh, look, sis, there's one in your hair. It's different from this one on my arm." "What does it look like?" asked Perilla, holding her head still, but trying to turn her eyeballs upward to see if she could see it. Oh. Josh pointed to the butterfly that had just flitted off Perilla's dark reddish hair. They noticed lots of butterflies that were the same as those two. There were lots of black butterflies with orange spots and lots of yellow butterflies with black edges. They were flying from flower to flower. Aunt Carrie had returned from the house with the butterfly book. "I see you have discovered the swallowtails. The yellow one is called a tiger swallowtail, and the black one is a spice bush swallowtail." "Oh, look," said Aunt Carrie. "This is a monarch butterfly." She pointed to an orange butterfly with black veins in its wings. It was sitting on a milkweed flower. "Look, it's taking the nectar out of the flower with its proboscis." "What's a proboscis?" asked Josh. "It's pronounced pro-bos-kiss. And it's just like the straw that you use when we have root beer floats. The butterfly uses it to suck out nectar from the flower, just like you suck the root beer out of the glass," said Aunt Carrie. "Look with these magnifying glasses and see if you can find the proboscis." Aunt Carrie took 2 magnifying glasses out of her apron pocket and handed them to each of the children. Perilla and Josh each took a magnifying glass from Aunt Carrie and looked at the butterflies setting on the flowers. They found the curled up proboscis on some of the butterflies, and on some that were still eating nectar, they saw the proboscis poking into the flowers. "That's really cool," said Josh. "And see here," said Aunt Carrie, "this is a caterpillar eating the dill. This one is the yellow swallowtail caterpillar. It will become just like those yellow ones." Perilla said, "The caterpillars make a chrysalis, and after a while a butterfly comes out. Isn't that right, Auntie?" "Exactly right, Perilla. Did you learn about this at school?" "Yes, we read about butterflies in science class," answered Perilla. "Can you find a chrysalis on any of these plants?" asked Aunt Carrie. Perilla and Josh looked all over the buddleia bushes and the light green dill, and the red and orange zinnias, and the tall yellow marigolds, and the pink milkweed. They searched the lavender flowers, and the hollyhocks, and the sweet alyssum, but they couldn't find a chrysalis. Then Josh exclaimed, "I think I found a chrysalis here." He pointed to a beige blob attached to several stems on a plant. "That's Queen Anne's lace," said Aunt Carrie. "It does look like a chrysalis, doesn't it?" They all looked at the beige blob. "We will have to watch it every day and see what we find, what hatches out." "What kind of butterfly do you think it is, Auntie?" asked Josh. Josh was always interested in insects of any kind. "Well, I'll give you a hint. It's not a chrysalis. It's an egg case," replied Aunt Carrie. "An egg case?" said Perilla. "We'll have to look through the butterfly book and find out what butterfly hatches from an egg case." Perilla and Josh and Aunt Carrie left the wildflower garden and walked to the farmhouse to have lunch. They ate peanut butter and homemade strawberry jelly sandwiches. Aunt Carrie had cut the sandwiches from corner to corner and placed the sandwiches on the plate so that the two triangle halves looked like butterfly wings. She put a piece of celery down the middle to look like a butterfly's body. Then she put a slice of black olive on each half to represent the dots that they had seen on the butterfly's wings. They had a bowl of tomato soup and a few more celery sticks and olives and a glass of milk. Dessert was oatmeal cookie and some juice sucked through a straw. "This juice is just like the nectar from the flowers outside, and we are sucking it up with a straw, just like the butterflies do," said Josh. He sucked the last of his juice up with the straw, making a noise when the juice was all gone. Everybody giggled. They cleared off the kitchen table, and Aunt Carrie brought out the butterfly book, as well as another insect book. The two children looked through the butterfly book, looking for some type of butterfly that hatched out of an egg case instead of a chrysalis, but they couldn't find one. Aunt Carrie pushed the book of insects toward them and said, "Why not look in here?" "But that book is for insects, Auntie," said Josh, "and we are looking for a butterfly." Aunt Carrie smiled. She already knew what would hatch from the egg case. The next morning after breakfast, the two children ran out to the butterfly garden to check the egg case. They didn't see anything unusual. Aunt Carrie looked at the egg case and said it hadn't hatched yet. The children went off to play. Every morning for 3 days, Perilla and Josh went out to the wildflower garden to check the egg case, but there was no butterfly, and the case was still all together. On the 4th morning, Aunt Carrie heard them calling to her. "Auntie, there are little bugs all over the egg case. Quick, look!" Aunt Carrie went out to the garden to take a look. Indeed, there were tiny green insects on the beige egg case and on the Queen Anne's lace. There were about 12 altogether. "Auntie, what are they?" asked Josh. "Well, Josh, you have seen these insects before, only much larger and darker green. Look at them for a while and see if you can figure out what they are," said Aunt Carrie. Josh and Perilla looked at the tiny insects and tried to imagine them larger and darker green. One of the tiny insects was sitting on its back legs and holding its front legs together in front of itself, like this. It's holding its legs like this. "Oh my gosh, Josh," exclaimed Perilla, "it's a praying mantis. Remember we saw one in the vegetable garden?" Josh was looking at the tiny insects through the magnifying glass that Aunt Carrie had handed him. "It is," he yelled loudly and excitedly jumped up and down. "It's a praying mantis. Auntie, look, they're praying mantis." "Yes, children, that's what they are," said Aunt Carrie, putting her hands on Josh's shoulders to calm him down. "Let's be a little more quiet so that we don't frighten them." As they were looking at the baby mantis, the tiny insects were crawling out of the egg case and spreading out over the Queen Anne's lace. "You knew all along that they would be praying mantis, didn't you, Auntie?" said Perilla. "Yes, I've seen lots of praying mantis egg cases in my day. all over the garden and in the fields too. I remember the first time I found the mantis hatching out just like this. I was just excited as you were, Josh. It's quite special to be able to see them hatch and move along the plants. What will they do now, Auntie? Asked Josh. Oh, they will hide in the plants and eat and grow to the large size that you saw on the tomato plant. And they will mate and lay more eggs on other plants. Well, they certainly fooled us, said Perilla. We were sure that this egg case would hatch a butterfly. Nature is very amazing, kids, said Aunt Carrie. There always are lots of mysteries. Yes, said Perilla, and we solved the mystery in the butterfly garden. And that story came to me when I was working at a nature center, and I was in the gardens, and I was weeding in the garden, and kind of sitting down in the garden and then weeding around me. And there was a path that came this way that where people that came into the nature center could walk the path and see the flower gardens and everything. And I was working in the one flower bed, and a couple of ladies came by, and I felt something land on my head. And there were lots of monarchs and other butterflies around, and they were flying around. I thought it was just, a monarch sitting on my head, and I thought, well, I'll just leave it on my head because that'll be the most beautiful thing that's on me, is the monarch butterfly. So I was sitting there with the monarch on my head, what I thought was a monarch, and these two ladies come along, and the one lady gets real scared. Oh, get it off your head. Get it off your head. Oh, she was just so scared. Get it off your head. And I said, oh, well, it's just a butterfly. And she says, no, it's not a butterfly. It's one of those things that holds its hands like this in front of it. It's one of those icky bugs. It's a bug. Get it off your head. She was very distraught. And I said, oh, a praying mantis? And she said, yes, that's what it is. It's a praying mantis. Get it off your head. I said, no way am I getting that praying mantis off my head. If he wants to sit on my head all day, I will let him. Oh, that's disgusting. It's a bug. I said, no, it's not. It's a praying mantis. Anyway, about that time, it flew off my head and landed on a plant next to me, and I could see it sitting there. I said, oh, boy, that is a beautiful praying mantis, and a big one, too. Must have been a female. Females are always the biggest ones. And she just stomped off. She couldn't believe that I was letting an insect sit on my head. I thought it was a privilege. I thought it was a privilege to have a praying mantis sit on my head. Most assuredly. Oh, here's my kitty. She's getting all into stuff. There she goes.
You don't discuss client business.
See, now, you see what you did?
I really do.
Do you see what you did? I'm sorry. She stepped on my thing there and started my video on the computer. I apologize for that. I'm not going to do this over just to get rid of that. So anyway, there are my 3 stories that I wrote a long time ago, 10, 15, 20 years ago. I don't even remember. I didn't put a date on them. The Green Cat Mystery, the Tomato Patch Puzzle, and the Mystery in the Butterfly Garden. So if you enjoyed those, you can come back and listen to them again. And I would appreciate if anybody has any floating cash around there that they could put it in my GoFundMe account that I'm going to be making up here real soon. So thank you, and I hope you like those stories. Maybe I'll come up with some more. Just reading those has kind of gotten the brain waves moving again. So who knows? Maybe I'll write something else. So see you later. Bye-bye.